Got sad eyes. Jasper, do you have a sad eye? Yeah. So today was not the best. Jasper got a little eye infection. It's like dog pink eye basically. So I had to bring him to the vet, and now we have to put this gross ointment in his eye, and he's really upset about it. But on the bright side, I did a lot of crafting over the last couple days, and I'm about to assemble my hatchet for my Darkest Dungeon cosplay. So I wanted to show you guys the pieces of it and how I'm putting it together, so I thought I'd just like quickly explain my thought process behind it and how I made all the pieces. So I started off with a 4-foot PVC pipe that I got from my dad, and I wanted it to have a wood grain texture, but if you guys have ever worked with PVC before, you know you probably have to sand down the surface and then paint it, and it would have taken a long time and a lot of skill to get it to look like wood grain texture, and I knew that most of the wooden stick aspect would be covered up by other parts of the hatchet. So I decided to just find duct tape that had wood grain texture on it, and of course they make that, so that was awesome. So I covered the whole thing in duct tape. I made the actual blade of the hatchet and the little back piece of the blade out of craft foam using the same method as I'm using for my Siri belt. So I just kind of did all the steps at the same time as my Siri belt, although it was a little bit easier because I ended up using, instead of like the rub and buff, to go for a more cartoonish effect on the hatchet, I just mixed a little bit of like the glue sealant that I had made with a metallic finish acrylic paint. And I painted the hatchet pieces that way, and once they were dry, I kind of did all the cartoonish outlines with black acrylic paint. I think it came out really good. One thing that I had to get really crafty about though were the pieces that hold the hatchet blade to the handle, because as you may notice, they're two different pieces, and I didn't think about that ahead of time. So basically what I ended up doing was I made these strips of foam that I shaped around the hatchet handle, and I actually just like scotch taped them in that position so they would stay round around the middle and then flat at the side, so it would have like little tabs to hot glue or just attach somehow to the hatchet pieces, but the middle part would be rounded to fit around the hatchet handle. And then after I scotch taped that, I used a hairdryer on high heat for a couple minutes and got it nice and hot, and then I let it sit on the PVC pipe to cool so it would keep its shape. And then once that was done, I just slid off the pieces, sealed them with the glue and water sealant like I did with the other pieces, and then I colored it with the metallic finish acrylic paint, just like the other pieces. So now all I have to do is hot glue those pieces to the hatchet pieces, and then I know I could get a little bit more detailed with the hatchet. I know there's like a spike piece at the top, and then there's like some spikes going around the bottom, but I still have so many pieces left of both costumes to make that I really just kind of want to make this look as good as I can where it is right now. If I have time later, of course, I can always add those details, but this is one thing I think is really important with cosplay, is like if you drive yourself insane with certain details and you don't pay attention to like the bigger picture, then you're gonna end up with a bunch of unfinished but very detailed costumes, which is kind of what happened to me last year, which is why I didn't do cosplay at PAX, and I just really don't want that to happen again. Wow, would you look at that? So I didn't get to add all the little details that I wanted to at the ends, partially in the interest of time. Anyway, but I am pretty happy with this. I actually just took these little guys that I explained before and attached them to there and onto here with Elmer's glue, and I just let it dry overnight, and I was like 80% sure that I was gonna have to add some kind of other adhesive, but it's actually really, really sturdy. Like, this is not going anywhere. The blade is like very slightly floppy, but it's a lot more sturdy than I thought it would be. The metallic finish looks pretty great. You can't really see it in this light, but it came out awesome, and I really like the details of like the cartoon lines that I added. I think that looks great. I also added some burlap around the handle. So there are those few details that I didn't get to add, but I'm really happy with the result, and I'm really happy to walk around PAX with it this weekend. Get excited!